Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bogeyman Golf Podcast brought to you by AIG, proud partner of Golf Ireland for the last 25 years. Golf Ireland members can get an additional 10% off their car insurance when they go visit aig.ie. On the podcast today, I'm joined by Ryan Griffin, who had a stellar 12 months. He won the R&A Student Series, played in the Palmer Cup down in Lahinch, and had overall a very, very impressive year from the golfing perspective. We had a great conversation all about his life in golf and what awaits him in the future. Ryan Griffin, you're on the podcast. Thank you very much. You're taking a little bit of a break to come on and have a chat with me in between what was the end of a very busy season, but has gone straight into the start of another very busy season. How are you?
I'm all good, thank you, Johnny. Yeah, it's exactly as you said. The golf season. It's you're so full on in summertime, and then once we finish up in summer, then we're straight back into college. And I just started my master's degree this week, so that's a pretty big step. So I have my hands full, but we just played two tournaments the last 2 weeks in Sweden and Royal Dublin, and getting set to play another one now next week up in Beaver Park.
Congrats on starting the Masters. That's no small feat. Doing that and then also competing on the Maynooth college team. That's a busy time.
Absolutely, absolutely. But like the great thing about it is that I've had so many friends come through the program that were on masters and went through the master's degree, and at least you have them to fall back on for any advice or anything, and balance and time and all. It's all helpful.
Have you enjoyed your time in college? You've been in Maynooth a couple of years now. You've got another year to go. You seem to be a shining indictment for, I guess, from a golfing side, a shining indictment of how good a college career can be. Obviously, winning the student series a couple of times, a number of wins under your belt as well, playing two Palmer Cups. You kind of the poster child for what could happen playing college golf from Maynooth.
Well, like if you want to put it that way, I'll take it. But look at it, it's by no means easy. Like I came onto the program back in 2020, September 2020, and I just got in on a silver scholarship. So that was like the observation squad because I didn't play any boys golf at all. And then I got on the silver scholarship because I shot something like 65 around the West back that same year, back in April time, and managed to catch the attention of Barry Fenley here in Maynooth. So no, it was great. And look, I have had some fantastic achievements in my time in Maynooth, but it all comes with such hard work as well. And when I kind of think back on how I came into Maynooth and the person that I was then, it's I do feel proud of myself how far I've came.
Who were you as that person in 2020?
Well, I was a little skinny. I was about 60 kgs and just struggling to play off anything in the plus figures. And like I remember the first time we played around Carton, whenever I first came in, a couple of the guys were coming around and a couple under par. And I was kind of sitting there and I was like, oh, I'd have to have my Sunday best to go around and under par here. And like then it kind of stands to because we were in Clayton there on Monday or Tuesday and went around in 6 under. And like it just kind of goes to show you that hard work that you put in, it stands to you over time.
You mentioned there that you didn't play. Excuse me, but I'm still getting over a bit of a cold. You mentioned there that you didn't play any boys golf. Why was that? Obviously, you grew up in Donegal. You probably played a multitude of sports, I imagine.
Well, I did. I played a lot of GAA and stuff whenever I was growing up, like you like football. But I started taking golf seriously whenever, like, I started playing golf whenever I was about 7 or 8. With my father, he was single figures, played off about 7 or 8 in Ballybuffet, and I just kind of played up there. I was like, whenever I was 17, I was still playing off five. So I was kind of a real late bloomer into the whole thing compared to the guys that were on the minute team at that stage. Like they were all playing Irish boys tournaments representing Ireland at boys level. So I was a real small fish at that stage. And like I just never really thought I was good enough to play them tournaments, one thing, and never really had the opportunities either. So I'd say that's kind of the reason I didn't play any boys golf. And then look, the first men's tournament was that West of Ireland, Ross's Point. But I'd kind of I'm kind of glad at the same time because the step up from what I hear from boys golf to men's golf is huge. Like you're kind of going from lush parkland courses to like the back sticks in Ross's Point was blowing a gale. So it's completely different. So thankfully I didn't have that change. So I didn't really have that struggle. I was just used to playing in the wind and the howling rain my whole life. So it was nothing new at that stage.
And then nothing changed from your own perspective from jumping from boys to men's. Was a case of just you'd grown up a bit more, got a bit stronger, or what was that that caught the eye of Barry Fanley?
Yeah, whenever I was 17, I was playing off five, and it was then that I got in contact with my coach Seamus McMonagle back in Donegal. And like at that stage, I was 17. I had my own swing. He didn't try and carve a swing into me,
Mm.
and he just kind of taught me the basics, chipping, putting, and stock shots. And like a lot of the time, people say to me, to see me hitting that kind of like cut off driver, and like kind of comes out nice and kind of low,
Yeah.
little bit of a bullet fade. And like they say, oh, stinger driver, but I would never really call it a stinger driver. Just kind of call it a wee chippy driver more than anything. So that kind of came as a result of the work me and Seamus done together, and it was kind of just through that where I learned how to play my own game. That I wasn't trying to play a game that I seen on TV, the McElroy and the lads playing. Just kind of on my own thing, and it stood me very well so far. But like it's so tempting to try and change these things as you go on. So it's just kind of staying grounded more than anything, and knowing that what you're doing is good enough, and it's just kind of the scoring where you really need to get better because that's where the pros are so good.
You've had a very successful year this year in college. No small part, I guess, to the amount of work that you're saying you put in over the few years that you had under your undergrad. Plenty of highs and a couple of close calls. I mean, you obviously won student series, a couple of wins on the actual, like a couple of the series of events throughout the couple of years in college as well. Did you sit down the start of this year, obviously as your final year of the undergrad, and go, right, this is the goal, this is the objective? Or did you have a plan in mind for the year?
Uh, Last year at this point, all I wanted to do is play Palmer Cup. Whenever I heard it was in Lahinch, and say that was probably my only goal because I wouldn't be huge on sitting down and writing out a bullet point list of what I need to achieve. I kind of cover it as a go, and like me and the coaches will make some sort of a goal list, but nothing crazy, just things, all things that we're trying to work toward. And but the Palmer Cup and Launch set was the biggest one, and like this time last year we had already played an event in La in Spain, and I played okay. I came like 12th or something, and didn't get off to a great start. But I just kind of knew that if you keep plugging away, and if you allow that to be your worst finish, then you still have a very good chance. And to be fair, that it was my worst finish, and I forget where we went directly after Lasea, but I had a decent finish in a way, and then a couple of decent finishes then at the start of the year, and obviously capped it off nicely then on St Andrews.
How was that week in St Andrews? Obviously, the weather that week was pretty horrendous, but like going into it, you knew what you needed to do. You knew a certain finish would get you the series win, and then in the end, if you just won the tournament, you win the series. So you know a win there seals everything really.
Yeah. So St Andrews was the first of all conditions were horrendous. Like the first day it was blowing a gale, the second day it was blowing a gale with showers, and then the third day it was blowing a gale with just constant rain. So it just got worse every day. But I had a slight blessing and a curse that time because the week before I was in the gym and hurt my back, and proper like I was down warming up to squat, and I was down at the bottom and just felt something go at the bottom of my back, and it was awful. I did honestly didn't know if I was going to take it up or not, and just constantly on the ball with physio, painkillers, heat patches, and whatnot. But you can kind of look at that as a silver lining too, because it had something to distract you too, because there was so much to play for that week, and that injury, you're kind of trying to stay alive more than anything than focusing on what you're actually doing in the course,
Yeah.
which is kind of the blessing of it all. And look at it worked out. It worked out well that week, but as you kind of go on through the season, then a couple of tournaments I had to withdraw from when I was doing well, and it kind of bites you then. But look at either way, like the Palmer Cup in Lahinch that week was absolutely phenomenal, and I'll take all the physio that I've had to do from hurting my back as an account of it.
What was the injury specifically?
It's my lower back. I have a what do you call it? I have a strained nerve or something like that there down my lower back. I'm waiting on an MRI to just kind of get to the brunt of it. But it's actually much better now since I kind of got the all clear to get back into the gym and strengthen myself up again. It's taking a lot of the stress off it, which is great.
Okay, very good. It's that's a considerable amount of time that you've been kind of dealing with it, or not necessarily sidelined because you've still been playing a fair bit of golf, but it's a while to be dealing with that kind of a back injury.
Absolutely. Like I was grateful at the time that I was still able to swing and play golf. Because whenever it happened, it was like my life flashed before my eyes. It was that bad. But look at it. You have the silver linings, like I said. But it does take time, and thankfully, it does seem to be settling down a little bit now. But at the same time, it's kind of a dangerous place because you could go into the gym and think, "Oh, I'm better again," and start squatting or doing something silly and completely do yourself out of it. So no, we're working together with the physios down here in Maynooth and Robbie Cannon, our S&C coach, and just keeping an eye on it and not doing anything outrageous that's gonna completely do them.
That's fair. You're in good hands with Robbie as well. Robbie's great.
Robbie's a great guy.
So then you make the Palmer Cup team. Like, you must be thrilled, even just to get onto the team and to know that you're one of four Irish as well on a team of 12, which is a massive representation for a very small island. Like initially, what are you feeling when you've made that squad and you know it? Like that's kind of the first goal achieved.
Relief, I would say, more than anything, because I remember going around. I knew the conditions in St Andrews would probably help me more than anything because it wouldn't let anyone get on a run and kind of come at me because I think I was leading going into the last day.
Hmm.
And I remember going around the front nine, and I honestly don't know how I done it, but I think it was two or three under after 9 holes in horrendous conditions. And
Wow.
I was just kind of hitting it to the right part of the green, hitting it, not doing anything silly, and got to, I think it was 15 or 16, and checked the leaderboard to see where everyone was. And I seen I had like a like a 4 or 5 shot lead, so I wasn't going to take it too far right on the 17th close to the hotel, and I so kept that one nice and nice and safe. And the same to be said for the tee shot up 18 too. But like the conditions were brutal. Like 18 was straight into the wind and had a driver and 4 iron up to the green. And like we're lucky enough, we've played St Andrews loads of times that you usually drive in that green or getting it very close.
Hmm.
So the fact that it had a full driver and a full 4 iron just to the front edge, it was playing but beastly.
Yeah, the weather conditions that week definitely didn't lend to someone making a run, especially someone who like throughout the season had to get a win or had to get a very good result and kind of hope for you to fall back to try and win the series. Is there a bit of strategy or a bit of tactics that come into play for the final event like that?
Well, in St Andrews, definitely because it's such a cool place, especially the fact we finished in the old course. Like it can change so much with just the wind, and like I said, thankfully throughout my years in Maynooth, I've been lucky enough to play it about 10 times or so. So like there's things you can do there, and there's things you can't do. Like a lot of the front nine, you can hit it as far left as you want, and you're still left with a perfect shot into the green. Whereas if you try to take it down the fairway and leak it a bit left to right, you can catch one of the pot bunkers and you can make it stick quickly.
Mm.
So I think it's just through experience. You do some sort of a game plan to suit yourself and kind of go from there and literally just take it one shot at a time.
How was your back holding up then for Palmer Cup? Because you had a little bit of a break, but not a
Yeah.
huge break between then and Palmer Cup.
I was really focusing just on physio. I didn't. It was dangerous to kind of go into the gym, so I didn't really want to do that. So I was just
Mm.
kind of focusing on stretching, physio, mobility, all that. Because like Palmer Cup, it was so much golf. You had one round first day, and then you had the foursomes in the morning, then foursomes in the evening, then you had the singles in on Sunday. So it's a lot of golf, and to kind of keep up with it healthy, you have to really watch yourself. But thankfully the coaches were great. The physio down there was great, and managed to kind of get around the week, not really too stressed about my back.
How was that week? Obviously, we know the results, but it seemed like you had so much fun. It seems like you're a golfer that really enjoys his time out in the golf course. But that week in particular, yourself and Kate kind of were like a dynamic duo throughout the entire tournament.
Yeah, like I know for a fact I look back at that week in Lahinch and it'll be one of my fondest memories without a doubt. Because the people you meet and the fact it was in Ireland and you had so many friends and family down there that it was just so special. And to kind of share that experience with them just made it incredible because like I was lucky enough to play it last year in America in
Mm.
Laurel Valley, and at least I had Max and Lauren there, so there's three Irish, and we had a fantastic time, but it was nothing compared to having it on home soil. And I know so many of the people in Lahinch anyway from playing in the south of Ireland the last few years
Yeah.
that it was just incredible. And like even coach Barry Fenley, like it's just you couldn't write it, and especially the way it finished the first day on Friday. Me and Kate able to take down David Ford and Joey Campos, like number fifth and ninth in the world against. And Kate was in around 250, and I was 950 in the world. So to get a match against them was absolutely phenomenal.
That was the day that that video went around, wasn't it? Of you making
Yeah.
that put on 18 and giving it absolute socks. It looked like the atmosphere was amazing. Yourself, like you must be pumped in that moment where you're like just at where you are.
Well, it was funny because me and Kate were actually three up after 15 and then lost 16, they buried 17. So we're a little bit on the back foot. And I remember Kate, she had about a 25 footer. And we knew if we buried it, we would win the match.
Hmm.
And they had maybe a 10 footer for birdie or something. Kate was about 20 feet. And I said to Kate, I was like, look at Kate, give it a run because if you miss, I'm going to make mine. And I think hers just hung out on the right edge, but it was me to go next, and thankfully, like I didn't even think about missing that putt, and like it's the exact same as in that moment, like Ian Poulter talks about it at Medina. You just want to make the putt and give everyone something to cheer about, and that's all I was really thinking about whenever I was looking at whatever 12, 13 feet. And it didn't even look like it was going anywhere else. So I was thankfully able to turn around to everyone and give it a big fist bump.
Do you think about giving people moments like that when you're playing golf much? Because I imagine that's not a regular thought process that many golfers go through. I'd say most people try and block out the crowds and just stick to the shot, whereas you're there like, let's give everyone something to cheer about here.
Well, yes and no, because there was a great picture. It was the same day, like we were walking down 15, and my dad showed it to me at the end of the day, and there was like 100, 200 people out watching us in the fairway, and like you're walking down and you don't even see them because you're just so focused on what you're doing. But
Hmm.
at the same time, you know they're there, so you know that if you do hit a good shot, there's going to be a cheer at the end of it. So, but it pumps you up a good shot, but at the same time, you really have to stay in the moment too and not get ahead of yourself, which I find that I done quite well that week because it would have been so easy to kind of just get absorbed in the moment and
Hmm.
just let it eat you alive. So no, I was delighted with how everything worked out, and would have been nice to win it on the last day, but you're looking at the same time, it was still an unbelievable experience.
You gave it a good run, to be fair. It seems like you said it very nicely there. When it comes to playing competitive golf or playing in front of people, you can either embrace the kind of the attention or the moment, or you can crumble on it under it. Is that something that, given like you studied psychology and you said you have like a massive interest and you're fascinated by it, is that something that you've looked into from the sports psychology side?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's sports psychology, it's so interesting, and read loads and studied loads about it, and it's a fascinating topic because it's just the distance between your two ears on how people kind of dictate pressure. Like so, it's fantastic, and if you're able to manage your own emotions, then you can do fantastic things whenever you're under the gun. And that's the kind of what separates pros and amateurs. And honestly, what separates great amateurs from just kind of club golfers. So I think that's one of the big parts of it, that you're able to manage your own emotions and you know your own patterns, which is a big one because like I know we've done a lot of work at it here in Maynooth with our sports psychologists, and it's just a real personal thing. No two people are the same, and you just kind of have to figure out
Hmm.
what your own idiosyncrasies are and figure out a way of managing them.
What are your idiosyncrasies then?
Uh, some of mine will be kind of getting a bit too far ahead of myself, and I find that I just need to take a deep breath sometimes and just focus on my breath to kind of keep me back in the moment. So, like, you could take that for an example as if you're sitting a couple under par and you've a few par fives coming up and you're getting ahead of yourself, like, okay, I have two par fives, so that means I'm at 2 under now, I'll get to 4 under. And like, it's just pointless, to be honest. Like, you can glance at the future, but you have to come back to where you're at right in the moment. And like, if you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen, you're not going to thinking about what's actually happening in the now, which is quite important.
That's fair. So what do you do to try and keep yourself in the present? Is that you're saying breathing? Is that like box breath, that type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Like box breath breathing, whatever works for you, and just kind of like a lot of the time, you just kind of notice your own surroundings. Like a lot of the time, you kind of count down from five, like five things you can see, four things you can hear, three things you can feel, two things you can smell, and like it's so simple. There's so many ways to kind of go around it.
That's interesting. You've spoken a few times about how much you love Lahinch. What is it about that place that I mean, your fondness for Lahinch, I imagine, after this year has only increased. What is it about Lahinch you love so much?
It's like it really is the sceneries of Ireland. Like the golf course is basically in the town, and like the people down there have everyone's fantastic. Everyone's so helpful and so happy for you whenever you do well, which is which is a trait that's actually hard enough to come by in golf. Because
Hmm.
like a lot of people will say, well done, this, that, and the other, but not a lot of people actually mean it. So at least down in Lahinch, like everyone's so sound, and they're all like I'm grateful to everybody for everything that they've done.
Hmm. You returned then to Lahinch 3 weeks after the Palmer Cup for the South of Ireland. You were the leading qualifier through the stroke play, and then unfortunately had to WD from the event. Was this the same back injury or was this something different?
Yeah, this is the exact same thing. The like went out shot six under the first day, tied for the lead, and then followed up in the morning with the 1 under, and I was delighted. And then the next morning went out me and Senan. We had a great battle, me and Senan. and then but I managed to hold another putt on 18, and just managed to clinch that match. And I was going to play one of my buddies down here, Maynooth, James Walsh, in the second round,
Mm.
and like we were out at 7 o'clock in the morning, me and
Oof.
Shannon. So I was staying just the Santa Maria right in the corner, and went back to my room just to have a quick shower, freshen up, and stay awake basically. And as I was kind of getting out of the shower, just kind of stumbled a little bit and bent down weird, and just kind of felt myself pinch something that wasn't supposed to be pinched in a way. But I just said, if it was life or death, I probably could have played, but I didn't want to take the chance of doing my back in even more, or having to withdraw after 3 holes or anything like that there. So I just kind of
Yeah.
made the mature decision, and look at it, worked out well because I got the call for home internationals in the following week.
Well, there you go. You bring me right to my next point, which is then you jump back into team golf immediately. And like, how did the back hold up then for that week? Because again, a lot of golf, a lot of a lot of walking holes, travel. I imagine air travel is not great for your lower back either. How does your back hold up for that? But then there's also the kind of opportunity with you don't really want to pass up playing on a home internationals team.
Yeah, exactly. So it was completely, it took me by surprise, the call from Sweeney. And
Really?
whenever I heard from him, he was just kind of asking me how my back was feeling after Lahinch, and I wasn't going to tell him that no chance I wasn't fit to play. I was telling him absolutely I'm ready to play. So I was actually based down in Conceal with my girlfriend. We were down staying for the summer, and I got in touch with a great guy down there called Darren Prince. A lot of the guys down in Conceal know him, and he kind of kept me alive those next few days, basically in preparation for the home internationals, which was fantastic. And could manage to get over there to Mercer over in Scotland, and play great every single session, and managed to clinch a quite an important half point in the last day, because I was 3 down after 14 or something, and managed to make a 10 footer for a half and 16, 117, then 118. So we ended up winning the whole thing, and like the like team golf's just surreal. It's just
Mm.
unbelievable because you're sharing that moment with so many people, and it's just great.
You said that the call came as a bit of a surprise. Why, how is that surprising? I mean, if you look at your results, wins, obviously we talk about the Student Series win, great performance in Palmer Cup, like some very good results as well throughout the Irish season, like in the different kind of, we'll call them majors. It couldn't really have come as that much of a surprise.
Well, like I was never involved in any Irish panels at all, and like through that, I did focus a couple of years on trying to make the team and trying to play well to get on the team, but it just never happened. And whenever I kind of put it somewhat out of focus, then the opportunities actually came. So it was the sort of thing where good golf takes care of everything. And but like look at, I know Matt McLean, and Raf weren't available that week. So it was somewhat of a wild card pick, I would say. But look at, we went over, we got the job done, and the English weren't too happy about it.
Yeah, you call it a bit of a wild card pick, but you're the one who has to play the golf at the end of the day. And like I said, the team got the win, and you got a crucial half point in that final match in the final day. How was that week for you? Because like you're saying, it's your first home internationals.
Like it was a fantastic start to finish. Well, not really at the same time, because like we flew with Logan Air, and I think it was only me and Luke O'Neill who got both our suitcase and our golf clubs. Everyone else was either missing both or missing one of them, and Scottish Golf didn't give us any leeway to kind of push back the parents for that morning, because it wasn't looked at as an unforeseen circumstance somehow. But
Right.
like I
Okay.
remember that the foursomes, then Sean was supposed to play with Hugh Foley, but none of them had clubs, and we didn't know at that stage if they were going to be there or not. So that evening at 4 o'clock, Sean was just hitting my clubs on the range because I was one of the only ones that had clubs. And we were just going to play foursomes just out of my bag. So it was, but like we weren't the only ones that were that were in that scenario. So like our whole team was the exact same. But look at it, it just makes the week even sweeter. We were kind of able
Yeah.
to overcome that. And like look, thankfully the clubs did come for the morning. Everyone had their stuff. But like at that stage now the parents were going on, we didn't know. So like it was great to kind of come overcome that adversity and like get the one at the end of the week. It was just surreal.
Kind of, well, it's not kind of, it's absolutely unnecessary adversity that you have to overcome as a team, but brings you closer. And I guess, like you're saying, as a first kind of experience on a home international squad or representing Ireland, great way to bring everyone together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we had such a good team. Everyone got on so well. And like it was just fantastic to kind of share that experience with so many good people.
You, I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, but just sticking with the theme of team golf. You just played in the Lion Links Invitational there in Royal Dublin against Wake Forest. How was that? And a pretty different experience, although weather-wise, probably a bit mixed.
Well, the weather was absolutely phenomenal for the three
Yeah.
days we were out there, which was a complete surprise. But no, it was a fantastic week. It was a great tournament. It was Wake Forest, Cal Poly, Elon University, and ourselves. So
Mm.
like I remember hearing a couple of the American guys. They're like, "Oh, are these Irish guys even any good? Like, if they're any
Oof.
good, would they not be over in America playing golf?" And I remember we heard that and kind of a little bit of a fire under us as well. But look, we went out, we played our heart out. We struggled a bit in the first day. We were sitting maybe three over as a team, but look, everybody, we've such a great gang here, and everyone played well. Everyone done their part, and we were at a tie for third. Like I think we finished up at about 8 under as a team. With Wake Forest, they walked away with it. They were like minus 39 under par or something ridiculous. But no, then it was a little bit bittersweet then because I shot 9 under myself for the tournament and just lost out then in playoff on the second playoff hole. But literally just all went into the bunker off the tee, and your man made birdie. So like I didn't really lose it. He kind of won it. So at the same
Mm.
time, you kind of have to sit back and applaud and say congratulations because look, that's just the nature of the sport.
I hope whoever won wasn't one of the guys who asked, "Are these Irish guys any good?"
No, to be fair, the guy that we had a bit of a ding dong match in Portmarnock on the Monday against Cal Poly, and the guy that won it was the guy that I played the 9 hole match against. And I was kind of going around and because he never played links golf before,
Wow.
and we were going around, and I was kind of teaching him basically the main do's and don'ts and whatnot. And he's a great guy, and kind of showing him the little knockdown driver and this, that, and the other. But it kind of came to bite me in the behind in the long run. But no, look, he was a great kid, and no, he was deserving of one. Now he's played great golf.
That must piss you off when someone does say that, though. Like you like, especially after the year that you've just had, you're like, I'm playing great golf when I was in college. Like we were playing against you guys in Palmer Cup. Like
Yeah.
we're as good as you guys, and the fact that we're here just proves it.
Well, I don't know if it would piss me off that much, but it makes it all sweeter whenever you do better than them. It would kind of light a fire under you more than anything, and kind of give you that extra bit of momentum and motivation to kind of get out there and play some good golf, which is exactly what it does.
How important is the student series to like developing golf over here? Because I guess this week that's just gone by with the Invitational is a great example of how much the college system in Europe has grown, and the student series is kind of a great result or product of that.
Yeah, absolutely. The student tour series, it's phenomenal for us who want to stay over in Europe and play competitive golf because like we get to go away and play some fantastic golf courses, stay and see some amazing places,
Mm.
and look play against some amazing players because to win those events you have to play very well. Like there is nothing about it that's a walkover. And like to win the Art of Merit, you have to be the most consistent player. And that's kind of the long and short of it because there's so many great golfers in the fields that and it's only getting better and better. And it'll just kind of spur us on to play better too.
As a result of playing the Palmer Cup this year, and then I'll say also being on the team last year, you're in and you played in the LIV Golf qualifier last year. Um, the criteria has opened up to you again this year. Are you going to go over to? Is it in Abu Dhabi again this year?
No, it's actually over in Saudi Arabia this year. So
Okay, interesting.
it's a week later and it's in Saudi Arabia, so it'll definitely be an eye-opening experience. But look at like one good week and your life's completely changed. And
You might finish that masters pretty quick.
I might finish that masters pretty quick. I might buy shares in Maynooth University at that stage.
How was that week? What was that qualifying experience like last year?
It was unbelievable, start to finish. Like I know everyone has their mixed opinions on Liv. It is very controversial, but in my own experience, they treated us very well. They took care of a lot of costs, and look at I can't praise the organizers enough. And like over in Abu Dhabi, come December time, to leave Ireland when you're in 6 layers to go out and play
Mm,
golf to shorts and a t-shirt out there, it's a no-brainer. And Abu Dhabi Golf Club was phenomenal too,
yeah, it's
and
lovely.
it's a cool place, and like it'll be the same over in Saudi. I'd imagine that the golf course is pretty good, and like I don't think it'll come back with any extremely negative stories.
I don't
Hopefully,
know. Well, I mean, I can't imagine you would. I go over to Abu Dhabi kind of once a year. Myself and my wife go over, and we were actually there. We landed, and I played the golf course. It was like the day or two after the qualifier, so the Live Horton and all that
okay,
stuff was up.
cool.
Um, it looked like a very good setup. Of course, was playing. I guess the day or two later, of course, was still playing very fiery. How tough was that experience?
Uh, it's like to be fair, the practice rounds that we played. Like Max was over as well, Max Kennedy, and it was
Mm.
great to have him. And my mate from back at home, Michael, he came over and caddied for me. He caddies for me in loads of tournaments, so it was great to have him, and great to have those friendly faces when you're away somewhere far away.
Mm.
So that was fantastic and made the experience easier because then we were out in the practice rounds and like we played a few holes with Wade Ormsby, Laurie Cantor, and like all these guys they give you great insight into the game. And then I was delighted with how it was set up, practice rounds and all the preparation. And like it was my first professional tournament that I ever played in, so I was mad nervous and managed to get it down the fairway in the first. But look at it just didn't make the putts, didn't score as well as I would have liked it to carry on. But all that experience it stands to you. So like I'll go in now in December time hopefully, and I'll be able to relish that experience because I found, like I said, it was my first professional tournament, and I was trying to absorb absolutely everything, trying to see what everyone else was doing,
Mm.
understanding what they're not doing, and just trying to have a look at everything that goes into it. Whereas now I've kind of found my own routine, and I know what to do, I know what not to do, and I've kind of found my feet in the whole thing, which is great.
Because I imagine it's pretty easy to get distracted by all the noise.
Yeah, exactly. Like especially if you're over there for the first time playing your first professional tournament,
Yeah.
and playing the practice rounds with Wade Ormsby, Laurie Cantor, they're on the DP World Tour for years, and like you're kind of starstruck then whenever you kind of see them. But no, it's fantastic, and it was an unbelievable opportunity. And like, look, at I said, it's one of them experiences that will stand to you so much in the future. And I found that it kind of has then in the summertime, with the scores and the finishes that I was able to kind of find myself then.
Were those guys particularly good at imparting information? Like, were you playing with Wade and Laurie in the tournaments, or was that just practice rounds?
No, there was just a few holes in the practice round, and one thing I did notice in professional golf is nobody is gonna come over and overwhelm you with advice. If you
Hmm.
ask a specific question, they will answer it. But that's one of the biggest things I did learn was like it's dog eat dog, and everyone knows that. But like these guys, the fact they were playing U school basically means that they weren't doing too great in their own thirds or whatever, and they were looking for the next step up. And like I said, it was dog eat dog, and nobody was gonna hand over any mad secrets. But I remember talking to Max, and one of his playing partners afterward, he kind of just said to him, because Max asked him for any advice, and your man just said, "Look it, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't do what anyone else is doing. Just figure out your own way of playing golf, and that is the only way you're really going to get better. Because otherwise, you're just going to go around in circles, basically."
That's probably the best advice you can get. I remember even Paul
Like,
Harrington.
absolutely.
I remember Harrington saying the same thing, saying like the first season or two of being a pro, played out on tour, like if you're out on main tour, like there's so much, you know, swing coaches and
Yeah,
psychologists and whatever hanging around the range. Harrington's famous for saying, "Don't change anything for 18 months to 2 years because what you have is what got you here. So why
yeah.
would you suddenly change it now?" And the same thing, I guess, if you're in any kind of qualifier, if you're in that position, definitely that week is not the week to try and find a new swing or a swing thought.
No, absolutely not. Because like that's it's like I said it earlier, it's so tempting to do that, and like everyone's a victim to it. Everyone's a victim to, if I just do this, then I'll be making so many birdies. But
Hmm.
like everyone has their own swing, and like I remember even when the first time I was in Palmer Cup in Laurel Valley, the biggest thing I noticed about the Americans was all their swings was they're all so funky, all so quirky, but they're also repeatable. Like there was none of them just completely textbook. They're all had their own little things that they done, but they're
Okay.
all unbelievable players, and that's the big thing. Like it doesn't matter how it looks, it just matters the score you're writing down at the end of each hole.
That's very true. Did you take any kind of learnings from that live week playing against professional golfers into your own golf in terms of like when it comes to the tournament, the actual tournament days? I imagine those guys have, just because they played years on the DP World Tour and whatever kind of respective tours, they probably have a capacity to be able to go Monday, Tuesday is practice day, Wednesday is practice day, Thursday is tournament day, and I'm a different person when it comes to tournament.
Uh, Not really in a sense of their own personal demeanor or anything, but well, one thing I just did notice about their actual golf game was that, well, the two guys that I got paired with, none of them particularly long. Like we were kind of the same distance off the tee, but their scoring was phenomenal. They just don't make oft silly mistakes. Like it's the same exact same as everyone says, just 100 yards and then is what makes the difference. And like everyone sees DeChambeau, McIlroy hitting these 350-yard bombs with 125-mile-an-hour club head speed, and like yes, that is quite amazing. But like at the same time, like if you can't get it up and down, then you're gonna struggle big time.
It seems like you really enjoy you're enjoying yourself at the moment, and are really enjoying your golf in the last year or so. Was that probably a fair assessment?
I would say so. Like you kind of look back and look at everything that's how far I've come and everything that I've been able to achieve and the people that I've been able to surround myself with, that I'd consider myself extremely lucky and extremely privileged in that sense. So I suppose you could say I'm pretty happy dude, all right.
Because I've had the good fortune to be able to go a few more events throughout the year, and I've seen you around and seen you at them, and yeah, you're always just big smile on your face. Always seem to be enjoying yourself. Obviously, we're talking to you after the close, and you'd finished like fourth place or so. So like, you can be pretty happy. You had a very good final day that day in particular, but
Yeah.
you always seem to have a big smile on your face.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the same time, like it's one of the big things I would notice in championships around Ireland is that you're paying money to be there. You're paying money to usually stay there. And so many guys are walking around the golf course as if they don't want to be there. And if you're walking around with a big sulky face on you, then what are you doing with yourself? Like, yes, we're all going to hit bad golf shots. We're going to have write some big numbers on the scorecard at some stage, but like, I don't find there's any place for it in amateur golf, like because at the same time we're all amateurs, like we're not professionals, and we might as well just enjoy the ride, basically.
What have you learned about yourself then this year? It's been a whirlwind year. It's been a year where you achieved what you set out to in terms of playing Palmer Cup. You've won a bunch of times. Surely you've grown as a person over the year, and what have you learned?
Absolutely, 100%. One of the big things I've probably learned about myself is you kind of said it yourself that you can achieve kind of whatever you want to achieve. Like I was never I was never terribly academic, uh, whether it be in school, even in college. I'm not I'm not top of the class, but you find a way of getting it done. And like if you had told me back back in first year that I'd be going into a master's degree, I never would have believed you. So can you take the golf, the academic side, the friends and family, everything that has come with it all, like it's phenomenal. And that's kind of goes back to what I said that I'm extremely fortunate.
What do the next couple of weeks look like for yourselves? Brand new season. You had one or two R&A series events already.
So we'd won in Sweden. We'd won in Sweden, and I had a good last day. Shot 3 under the last day, and the conditions were real tough. So 3 under was actually a great score. And I set the clubhouse lead at 3 under, and one of our teammates, Thomas Baum, the Irish close champion, uh, he was flying at one stage, and then he just made he got some bad breaks, and he was 3 under going up 17, but managed to birdie 17 and a par 18 to just one by a shot. So he won the event, so I came second. But no, it was great. It was a great week out there. Halmstad, it was a phenomenal place where they had the Scandinavian mixed. So
Okay, yeah.
it was great to see it. And then we head up to Beaver now next week for the next event in the student series, and then it'll kind of settle down from then with the college golf until February. It'll pick up again then for the third event.
And I know that I asked you about kind of the goals or the objectives for the year just concluded for you. Are you going to sit down, or have you sat down for a goal for this year, or an objective, or Do you just kind of stick to the process? It's working for you so far.
Well, I'll definitely stick to the process, but I'll have a sit down meeting with one of the coaches down here, Donald Scott, now in the next couple of weeks or so, and we'll kind of go through the stats from the year and just kind of sit down and talk about what's possible and what we can achieve if we set our mindset. So I'll hop on for another podcast whenever I decide that.
Fair enough. And it's the question that I told you I'd ask now before we hit record. Obviously, there's the LIV qualifier coming up and the potential for professional golf coming down that avenue. But 10, 12 months time, the dissertation's handed in, the hard work is done. Does a career, life or a career in the pro ranks appeal to you at all?
Look at it's a childhood dream, no doubt about it, and it'd be unbelievable to kind of sit back and say that you are chasing it. Look at you've no idea how this LIV qualifier is going to go. I could stand on the 18th green after the fourth round and just announce that I'm a professional golfer. But look at if that doesn't happen, on the off chance, I'll focus on the Masters, get that over and done with, and hopefully get a good grade in that and take it from there, because that it's important.
It is indeed. Well, listen, congratulations on a very successful year. Best of luck over the next few weeks, and listen, we'll be following your progress throughout the year, and no doubt we'll have you back on the podcast soon enough.
Fantastic, Johnny. Thanks a million for having me on, bud. Have a good evening.
On the tee, Jack Nicklaus.
This is the minute that millions around the world have waited for.
We will allow you to enjoy all of this. They are dancing in the pubs of Dublin. Harrington with an ace.
And we have a shining star at sunset. Rory continues his run to greatness.
The return to glory.